I have a little Jack Russell dog named Maggie, and she has a lot of energy. So when we go for walks, it's not uncommon for them to stretch to the 2-hour mark. This particular day, I got home from work around 5:30 p.m., and the sun doesn't usually set until 6:30 or 7 p.m. Almost immediately after walking through the door, I put her leash on, quickly changed, and then we headed out. The walk went as usual, with Maggie taking me in whichever direction she wanted. Things didn't start to take a turn until about an hour in, when the sun was almost fully down. Unfortunately for me, I had walked further than I had realized. If you take your dog for long walks, you know how easy it is to zone out, especially if your dog rarely stops to sniff. We had walked in a direction I had taken normally, but the particular street I was on was unfamiliar. I still knew the general direction home, so I started to turn around, but Maggie was standing still, and then she began whimpering softly. That's when I saw it. Through the soft light of the sunset, I could make out a huge coyote staring at us in the middle of the street. It was roughly the size of a golden retriever, with matted fur and its mouth partially open, revealing its disgusting, sharp yellow teeth. I knew exactly what it wanted. I picked Maggie up and started walking in the opposite direction. I was a bit fearful, but for some reason, I thought it would just go away. I didn't know these streets very well, but what I didn't realize was that I had to keep moving. As I quickly continued, the coyote slowly followed, keeping its distance. But the darker it got, the more scared I became. After walking down random neighborhood roads in the darkness for a while, I came to the horrifying realization that I was lost. All the turns had messed with my sense of direction, and I had no idea which way to go. Through the darkness, I could now see the glowing eyes of the beast and hear it yipping and howling as I walked further through the dark neighborhood streets. Every few minutes, another set of glowing eyes would appear behind me, accompanied by even louder howls. I could tell they were getting closer. I was absolutely terrified at this point, trying to hold back my tears as I panicked, fearing for both my and my dog's lives. Every once in a while, I'd pass a street light and look behind me, revealing the entire pack walking slowly with their heads down, watching my every move. After almost 45 minutes of being followed, I began tiring and knew I was far from the safety of my home. Maggie began whimpering louder, which made me even more emotional as I knew she was aware of what might soon happen. The howling and yipping became more frequent, growing louder and closer. I looked back one more time to see all of their eyes staring at me from only 30 to 40 feet away. But suddenly, and strangely, they all began to separate, moving to the sides of the road. A few moments later, a small car slowly made its way between the crowd of coyotes and stopped right next to me. A lady rolled down her window and asked if I needed help. I was so thankful for her and told her to please take me home. There are almost no circumstances in which I would willingly get into a stranger's car, but I really had no other choice. The lady was really nice and seemed terrified for me. I was crying at this point, knowing I had just been moments away from a grueling attack. She kindly dropped me off at my house, which was almost 20 minutes from where she picked me up. I live in a nice neighborhood, one where you don't have to worry about your house being broken into or carjackings. The only growing problem in our neighborhood and many neighboring ones is coyotes. It's been a few years since this incident happened to me, and as time went on, more and more coyotes have shown up around town, getting bigger and stronger. The public knows to be cautious, especially in parks where there are tons of trees and places for them to make a home. Signs have been put up to alert people about popular areas where anywhere between 3 and 20 coyotes have been spotted. There have been news stories about groups of coyotes leaping over fences and taking small dogs, and larger animals being found torn apart in kids' parks. These are very sad and somewhat scary stories, but you never think of coyotes as being an immediate danger until you're being followed in the middle of the night by a pack of hungry and merciless creatures.